What's going on, everybody? You are tuned in to another episode of the Flea Flicker Show. It's been a couple weeks, but we are happy to be back. We are happy to be back after the Super Bowl. Obviously, I'm fucking ecstatic. My guys got it done, got the job done, and got that dub. Got Super Bowl number 2 there under the belt. And an interesting tidbit, an interesting fact here before we kind of get into things, Adrian. The NFC East is the only division in the NFL where every team has at least 2 Super Bowls.
Shoot, I think they might be the only one where every team has one, aren't they? Like,
yes.
It's a very tough division, and that's why
it's crazy.
Yeah,
like the Eagles are dominant right now.
Yeah,
but the Eagles have the least number of Super Bowls in the division. Number 1, Cowboys, obviously. Number 2 is Giants, or number 2 is Washington, right?
No, number 2 is the Giants. I think,
okay.
Right? They have, or is it?
I know
now
Washington
I'm not sure.
has stretched there in
Did they have
the
4?
80s.
Actually,
they got 4, I think.
I think you might be right. The Cowboys have 5. I think the Commanders have 4. The Giants have 3.
Commanders have 4.
The Eagles have 2. It's 5-4-3-2, just like that.
5-4-3-2. And the Cowboys probably won't sniff at a Super Bowl for a while. We have a better shot of getting hit by that asteroid than the Cowboys do about making the Super Bowl this year.
I saw that. That's hilarious.
That's pretty hysterical. I know Dak Prescott thinks they're one piece away from being where Philly is, apparently. And,
maybe 2 pieces now since they lost that star guard, Zach Martin.
Yeah. He called it quits. Hung it up.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. Dallas seems like a rough place to play under Jerry.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be winning anything until he's gone.
No.
Which he's up there in age, so who knows when that is.
Who knows? But he's like Emperor Palpatine. You never know what the hell is going to happen. He could be there speaking through a fucking floating head or something. I don't know.
Dude, I could see that. That'd be crazy. It'd be so funny. It's like Futurama.
Straight out of Futurama.
Just still owning it at like 130
Richard
years old.
Nixon.
Still not winning. That'd be great. I'd love that.
I love it as well.
But yeah, the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
How you been, though? It's been a couple weeks. How you been?
Oh, I've been pretty solid. Just doing my thing. Happy that the season's over. I don't have to watch the Giants fail miserably anymore. Even though they still kind of are taking L's in the offseason, too. It's just being a Giants fan these days, you know? L's everywhere. It is
rough.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I was happy. Saquon got his ring. I much rather would have had that than anyone on the Chiefs. There's a couple guys on the Chiefs that I was cool with, but for the most part, I didn't want them to win. Saquon got his ring. I kind of hope Will Grier somehow manages to get a ring. He was on the practice squad for like half the season, right?
For the Birds, yeah, he was on there for a minute, so that'd be pretty cool. I mean, the practice squad guys do get a ring. I don't know if it counts if they're no longer on the practice squad.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think he does have one. I want him to though. That's my boy.
Maybe eventually.
Maybe.
But yeah, it was a great game for me to watch. It was awesome. I had the spread there with the Philly food. I had no KC food this time. That's what did it. Last time they played, I had a pretty even split between KC and Eagles food, and it was a really close game. So this one though, all Philly food.
And it was all Philly in the game, so that makes sense.
Made pizza from a place here called Badia. It's gotten best pizza in the country one time. Made my best copycat to that. Cheesesteak egg rolls, homemade pretzels. So did it up.
Heck yeah! Do you have a big turnout there or something? Or was it just you feasting on all your stuff?
It was just me. It was just the family.
That's hilarious.
Just the family.
Just feasting away as you watch them destroy the Chiefs.
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually fell
game
asleep.
Season, bulk season, baby.
Yeah. I actually fell asleep in the first quarter, and I woke up on like the second to last drive of the game, which is kind of funny. I missed everything, but I was okay with that. I didn't really care about that Super Bowl at all, to be honest.
Well, you didn't miss a lot because for 3 quarters, it was all one-sided.
Yeah, it was just Mahomes running for his life most of the time from highlights that I saw.
Oh, yeah.
What did you think about the halftime show? I heard that it was quite a bit of people disagreeing on it.
I mean, you knew there was going to be. there was going to be the people like, I can't understand him. How is this music? There were going to be the people that didn't like the message, didn't like whatever was the style, anything about it really.
Yeah.
And not to get political, but you know who the people typically are going to be. So
yeah.
And those are the ones that spoke out on social media and everywhere, saying that they hated the show. And who would you rather have? I don't know. I mean, I thought it was fine for what it was. I don't necessarily think
want
that
Coldplay.
Exactly. I don't think that Kendrick has the like the music. Like I don't think he has. I don't know, the repertoire. I guess like the playlist, the songs.
Yeah, that's actually a fair statement. I would say.
A halftime show. I like his music, but I don't think it's like music that's going to get you out of your seat and like just amped about it. I mean,
other than the last,
set a record for a number of people tuned in, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I think he literally got that spot because of the Drake song. People were going wild when he played that one.
Oh yeah. I mean, he got Song of the Year for it, so.
Yeah, and like I actually forgot how big he was when we were younger. Like some of the first songs he played, I was like, oh shit, I know this.
Oh yeah, when he first came out, he was fucking killing it.
He had some bangers.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Kaya really likes him, so she was happy with it. I watched the replay. I thought it was solid halftime show. I wasn't opposed to it. But like you said, I kind of wish that he brought on some more people. I know he had that one.
He had Serena Williams and SZA.
SZA? That's what I was going to say. I think it was SZA, right? And Kaya likes hers too, so whatever. But I would have enjoyed if... It would have been hilarious if they like also had Drake there. I know they like hate each other, but that would have been so funny.
I mean, the whole song is about Drake, so...
He has like a comeback like halfway through and he sings some other song.
Honestly, like the best part though was just Kendrick Lamar when he stopped and like stares at the camera and is just smiling and calls out the A minor.
Yep. That was
the best part.
That was great. That was good. I heard some people talking about the halftime show and like the future of the halftime show, and I saw some people were saying that they should switch up genres like every year, which I kind of agree with because the past few years have been like a lot of rap and hip hop, which is probably what most of the league listens to, honestly. And a lot of people, it's the most popular genre, probably, I think. So I get it. But also a switch up every year would probably be a good thing. Like, so everyone's happy at least at some point in time.
So in my opinion, the Super Bowl should not be one genre. I think it should be a mashup of different artists. Now, ideally, you'd love to have the teams that are in the Super Bowl be represented by people from their areas, but you can't predict that. So that's not something you can plan for, but you can certainly do it for the host city.
Yes, I agree.
So take the host city and take artists that are from that area.
I like that.
And make them the highlight for halftime.
Yeah, and it was
share it. Yeah.
It was in New Orleans this year. I think Lil Wayne's from New Orleans, right?
Could have done Lil Wayne.
That would have been kind of sick. He's a little older now.
Who's from some New? He could still kill it.
Yeah. Did you hear about the possible future plans for next year's?
Dua Lipa and Creed, right?
That's not what I heard. Maybe that's new. I heard Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift, which.
Taylor Swift do it this year.
Dua Lipa.
Because next year they can't get the Taylor Swift effect by the Chiefs being there.
Hopefully.
So they need the Taylor Swift effect by some way, some factor.
Yeah. Dua Lipa.
Miley Cyrus doesn't make sense to me because she's not big enough.
Miley?
Not right now. Like she's not putting out songs right now, is she?
I don't know. Maybe she's got something in the works for this year. Who knows?
Who knows? But
anyway.
I mean, Taylor, she's a global superstar. But it'd be the biggest halftime show they probably ever have.
Yeah, I think we probably talked about the halftime show enough, though.
Yeah.
Do you wanna get into this? Well, we didn't even say what we're talking about today yet.
Yeah, we didn't. We did not say anything we're talking about yet. All we did was talk about. Sorry, I was looking at New Orleans artists. It's just all blues musicians. So
that would have been sick, honestly.
That'd be sick. I would love blues musicians. I love blues. Bring on some like Fats Armstrong type guys. That'd be sick.
That would have been sick. Kendrick Lamar should have done some random blues song for the halftime show. But
Oh yeah.
anyway, today we are actually going to be going over the quarterback position. I got a slideshow. We're going to talk about every team's QB situation and what quarterbacks they might have or might add to their teams. And I don't know, it's going to be fun. I got predictions lined up. We're going to have you try to guess who I predicted in what positions and what team's going to have what players. So it should be fun. We're gonna see. There might be some surprises in there, maybe some stuff that everyone thinks is going to happen. And I think it'll be a fun little turnout here.
Excited. Should be fun.
Yes, sir. You ready to jump into it, or you got some more New Orleans stuff?
No, let's get into it.
Let's hop right into it. And I started with, of course, the Super Bowl team, your team, the Eagles. There's nothing really to talk about here, honestly. Jalen Hurts, unless you got something to talk about.
I do have something. I predict that Kenny Pickett's going to get traded this offseason.
That could happen. I actually briefly thought about that. I'm sure they'll talk about it because Tanner Mackey, I think they like. And he honestly, I think, looked better than Kenny Pickett at some points. Not that they've really played much, but...
Yeah, and I think they can also include Kenny Pickett in another deal because they're going to lose Josh Sweat more than likely. They're also probably going to lose Milton Williams. So there's a lot of chatter about them wanting to trade for an edge rusher. I know Myles Garrett wants to come there. That would have to include a few pieces, a couple draft picks.
That would disgust me entirely.
Kenny Pickett, because they don't have a quarterback situation there. So,
yeah, but the thing about Kenny Pickett, does anyone really view him as a starter at this point?
I don't know. No, probably not.
He did not look
good.
Just
be a filler in there as just an option. I just think he's going to get traded because he still does have technically some potential. He's still young. Change of scenery to where he could be thrown into a decent situation could be beneficial with 1 year left on his contract. So I could see. I mean, there's talk about Max Crosby as well. I think Raiders make more sense than Cleveland because Cleveland's in a prime position to draft a quarterback. So
yeah, I suppose that could happen. I don't know. I couldn't find a spot that would really care to trade for Kenny Pickett, give up an asset for a guy that hasn't proven anything. But you never know. That stuff does happen all the time, so it could happen for sure. But I just have them keeping their guys.
I just want to point out, I'm not saying anyone's trading for him. I'm just saying he's included in a deal.
Throw him in. Get him
as
off
like
the
a throw-in
team.
piece. Whether to just push that needle a little bit more or be a salary filler, whatever it is, just kind of get a deal across. Just because, like, pick for player doesn't really work with an Eagles being not the most cap-friendly situation this year.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a team like the Rams or something that doesn't have anybody behind their current starter. So, I don't know. It could happen, but I just have it as it is right now. And as you can see with what I did, I have the starting quarterback. I'm pointing the wrong side. I have the starting quarterback as the big picture, and then, some backup quarterback guys.
I got it.
All right. And we're going to stick with the division. We're going to move to the Dallas Cowboys. Again, not much here. They got Dak. Cooper Rush is a free agent. I suppose he could follow like Kellen Moore to New Orleans possibly. Even though Kellen Moore was the Eagles, he was Cooper Rush's coach for a while too. But I think he's been in Dallas for like 8 years now, and ultimately I don't see why he would really want to leave unless someone offered him a starting job, which I don't see happening. So I assume they're going to re-sign him, and then Will Grier is under contract still, so I don't see much happening there.
Yeah, I don't see anything happening there. You could see like just a name down the end of the line, like an Easton Stick or a Driscoll or somebody like that, just come in as a backup quarterback. But there's not going to be anybody there that is noteworthy at all, headline worthy at all. And Cooper Rush is probably going to still solidify that backup quarterback role.
Yeah, he always looks good.
He's going to be back.
He always looks good when he plays as Dak's backup. So I don't imagine. Plus, they hired a new coach, but I mean it was Schottenheimer who was the O coordinator. So I don't see anything changing there. So we're gonna move to the next team. The first team that actually some interesting shit's happening, and that's my New York Football Giants. I got Tommy DeVito there. I expect him to re-sign, although he might not. They had Drew Lock. They had Daniel Jones at one point. He's off the team. Drew Lock won't be back. That'd be shocking to me. And Yeah, basically the Giants right now, they're going to sign a veteran quarterback and they're most likely also going to draft a QB depending on everything that happens. Um, they were looking at Matt Stafford yesterday. We got the news that he is re-signing with the Rams, or not re-signing, but redoing his contract with the Rams. So he is off the table for the Giants. So there's a bunch of options. What do you think, Fred? There was no good options really
Yeah.
when I was looking at it. So I hate what I ended up with.
The top two quarterbacks in the draft are not going to be there for the Giants. They're going to be gone. More than likely, they'll be gone unless Abdul Carter gets drafted in the top two picks. But I could see if either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders are there at the pick, they're going to take one of them more than likely. But I don't see either of them being available. So the route I think they're going to end up going is quarterback in late first, early second, by trading back in the first round, whatever it might be, or just taking it with their second round pick and picking quarterback out of the free agency class. That quarterback, like you said, they want a veteran quarterback. I don't see it being like a Sam Darnold, anybody that's going to be a long-term deal. Likely somebody on a 1, maybe 2-year deal. So you look at like a Russell Wilson. But I think Jameis Winston is going to be a solid bet.
See, I actually completely agree with what you just said here. If I was the GM, I'd bring in Jameis Winston. He's a good locker room guy. The Giants need a good locker room guy. He can play. He could possibly win some games. Maybe. He'd at least make it interesting, get Malik Neighbors the ball. And then I expect them to draft somebody. I'm not sure right now.
I'm going to say who I think before you get into the draft. Who I personally like I like this prospect, but they're more long-term. They're not going to be start them next year. I like Jalen Milroe. I know you don't, but I like Jalen Milroe in terms of his athletic profile. I know Dable does like athletic quarterbacks if he's able to use them, so I think it could work. I mean, he's pretty comped to Jalen Hurts, but a better arm. So his decision-making is really just what is holding him back, really. And you've seen that a lot with the athletic profile coming in for a lot of players. Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, but more recently, Anthony Richardson. So Anthony Richardson has yet to reach the level that a Jalen Hurts or a Josh Allen have. So athleticism can only get you so far. But you can also see like a Kyle McCord out of Syracuse for them as well. So definitely think they're going to take a second-round quarterback.
I like Kyle McCord. I think since we brought Joe Shane and Brian Daboll back, I don't think they have the time to work with someone like Jalen Milroe. So I don't think they're going to draft him. I would be semi-okay with it if we did. I just don't think it's going to work out for what they want to do there. If we did bring in someone like Jalen Milroe, I think Justin Fields would be a fantastic veteran option there, who I also think they're targeting. I don't know if he's going to want to come to New York. So basically, what I ended up going with, I think they're going to sign a somewhat top veteran QB, like Russell Wilson, like you said, and I think they will draft someone in the first round. I hate this, but I think if they really think Ward and Sanders are going to be gone, I think they'll legitimately, aggressively try to trade up, which I would hate. I would absolutely hate it. I'm a big Cam Ward guy. I hope we get Cam Ward, but all the news right now is saying Shedeur Sanders and the Giants are a match made in heaven. You're gonna find this hilarious, I think. I absolutely hate what I did with the Giants. I think it'll be a disaster, but I have Aaron Rodgers and Shedeur Sanders. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted by that. But I think I literally couldn't find like a more realistic option in my head that they'll do. I think they're pivoting to Aaron Rodgers with the Matt Stafford deal gone, which means maybe Devontae Adams comes too. I don't know, but I just maybe we'll win more games at least. But I mean, sign Aaron Rodgers. He'd be cheaper than Stafford. He wouldn't be cheap.
Maybe he'll win more games. He won 5 games this year for the Jets, and the Jets are the better team than the Giants.
That's more games, all right?
5 games, like come on.
Yeah,
He
listen.
won the same amount of games for the Jets as Zach Wilson did.
Yeah, listen, I think if we did this scenario that I put with Rodgers coming to New York, well, staying in New York, but switching teams and drafting Shador Sanders, first of all, I don't think Shador would be happy being the number 2, which would be something else to even talk about. Secondly, I don't know if Shador Sanders and Aaron Rodgers would get along. They seem somewhat different in how they are as people. But I feel like if this happened, we would probably like Rodgers might get benched like halfway through the season for Sanders. It would end up a disaster. Dayball might get canned by like week 8, and it'd be a shit show by the end of the year. Rodgers would retire in anger. Like there was no good option for me with the Giants in my head. I want Jameis Winston and Cam Ward. That's what I want. That's what I hope happens somehow magically.
Or like even like a Jameis Winston and a Quinn Ewers, or a Jameis Winston and Jackson Dart.
Yeah. I
think that can work. I mean, Winston is a gunslinger. He's been around the league for a long time. Players love him. I think he can be a good mentor for a kid.
Yeah.
Especially somebody coming out of the second round that still needs to learn a little bit, but could potentially step in year 1 or year 2 and be a starter.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think if we fired our GM, Joe Shane, and we brought in somebody new, I think that would be a more realistic option is Jameis Winston and either Cam Ward or, like you said, be okay with going with like Jackson Dart or Quinn Ewers in like the second round. But since we didn't do that, I think Joe Shane is going to aggressively be trying to get Shador Sanders or Cam Ward at the top of the draft and bringing in a proven veteran, even though declining veteran, and Aaron Rodgers matches that. I also don't think that Rodgers really fits Daboll's.
Davante Adams.
Yeah, that's what Davante Adams and Malik Neighbors would be kind of a sick duo for Rodgers to be thrown to. Plus, Theo Johnson would probably be better as a tight end. We would have to really.
Who else would be a sick duo for your QB to throw to is if you drafted Travis Hunter and paired him with Neighbors and had Jameis Winston throwing to them.
That would be, yeah. I mean, he'd throw for a lot of yards at least.
It'd be exciting.
But with Aaron Rodgers, one thing the Giants would have to do is make sure they get top O linemen to block for him because Rodgers is not escaping pressure anymore at his age. He still gets rid of the ball quickly, I suppose, and he makes good reads, but he can't run like he used to. Which is Brian Daboll's scheme. So he doesn't even really fit the scheme, but neither did Stafford, and they were aggressively trying to trade for him just 2 days ago. So I don't know what the hell the Giants are doing. This is the best I could come up with, and I absolutely hate it, and I think it will fail. But that's what I got.
I think Russell Wilson makes sense, too. I mean, Russell Wilson could be a decent option.
Yeah, I think that's a realistic option. I got him going somewhere else, so we'll get to him in a little bit. Next, I got the Commanders. Also, nothing crazy here. Jaden Daniels is a stud. Marcus Mariota, I expect, will re-sign with them and be the mentor for Jaden Daniels still. And they like Sam Hartman, right? The Notre Dame guy, as that third-string QB. Unless you got something else, I'm just going to move. All right,
nothing for them.
Moving to the next division. The Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, he's their guy. Kyle Trask is a free agent. I think he will explore the market. Somebody might see something in him. He hasn't played at all in the league yet, so I don't know how much teams like him. He was a stud coming out of Florida, but that was a while ago, so I just have him re-signing and sticking as the backup here. Nothing crazy. Moving to the Panthers. This was kind of interesting when Dalton was a free agent, but they already re-signed him. Apparently him and Bryce Young are like butt buddies now, and mentor-mentee is a solid role for him. So nothing's going to change there. They got Jake Plummer as a third guy. Bryce Young, I will
say, you could see the Buccaneers' previous slide just being a wild card and taking somebody in the not early stages for a quarterback, but like a Riley Leonard, Will Howard, one of those guys in like the third or fourth round, because they probably would be a better backup than Kyle Trask.
Maybe. I think they do like Kyle Trask though, but we haven't seen anything. So that could totally be something. And Trask already lost out to Baker. Maybe one of the young guys could push him a little bit more, but who knows? Yeah, Panthers, nothing new. I don't know if you got anything for them.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving. Another big team is the New Orleans Saints. Now, they got Jake Hayner there. He's on contract, blah, blah, blah. They have Derek Carr and Spencer Rattler both under contract. They could both be back. Mickey Loomis, the GM, did say, I think yesterday or the day before, that he's confident in Derek Carr. They got Kellen Moore coming in. The thing with the Saints, Derek Carr and the Saints were on bad terms not too long ago, and the fan base does not want him as their quarterback. And they have an out in his contract where they're still going to end up paying him a buttload of money if they do cut him, but they could cut him and save some money and just move on. Will that happen is the question mark. They have to make the decision soon. What do you think is going to happen with the Saints?
I think they will move on from Derek Carr. I think he's going to go elsewhere. With the success that was recently had in Philadelphia, I think that they're going to bring the same offensive mindset, not same, but similar offensive mindset to New Orleans. I mean, they have a very good running back there with Kamara, not the same as Barkley, but try to emulate that a little bit there with the RPO option and motion. So I think a quarterback who can be on the move, thinking like a Justin Fields or a Russell Wilson, and then drafting a mobile quarterback like a Jalen Milroe, like a Jackson Dart, someone like that, makes a lot of sense for them to kind of have Kellen Moore emulate that a little bit the best he can because he had so much success there.
Yeah, this is one team. You mentioned Kenny Pickett earlier. I suppose the Saints are a team that could possibly be interested in bringing Kenny Pickett in just because he knows Kellen Moore.
In the couple times he did play under him as a starter, he did perform decently well.
Mm-hmm. I will say they do seem to like Spencer Rattler. He's under a rookie contract. So what I think, I do agree with you. I think Derek Carr, even though Mickey Loomis said they like Derek Carr, GMs lie all the time, right? So I agree with you. I think Derek Carr is going to be cut. I don't think anyone's going to trade for him. I think he's going to be cut. And I think they're going to give Spencer Rattler a shot, but they also have to bring somebody else in. I think the Saints are the biggest team that has huge contracts, and they haven't been winning. So I think this is the year with bringing Kellen Moore in and a new staff. I think this is the year that they kind of cut ties with a lot of those big contracts, Taysom Hill, Derek Carr, some of the other guys on there. And I think they kind of reset this year. One thing to note here, Kellen Moore brought in offensive coordinator Doug Nussmeier from the Eagles, QB coach. Next year's draft, his kid, Garrett Nussmeier, he's playing for LSU. He's going to be in the draft. So I think...
Dude, they draft his son.
Exactly. I think this year might be kind of a tank year for the Saints. That's what I think is going to happen. So I have them cutting Derek Carr. I have them trying out Spencer Rattler, and then I threw in a cheap option. Maybe Trey Lance is crazy. Kenny Pickett, like you mentioned earlier, might be a better option to throw in there, but I just threw in Trey Lance as a guy, like maybe they want to roll the tires on him, spin the wheels, and see if he still has some of that North Dakota State game that he had before he was drafted in the league. Maybe that's crazy. Saints fans probably won't like that. Yeah, Saints fans probably won't like that, but I mean, if they're trying to save money, that's an option that I saw as possible. So, again, they could also bring back like Jameis Winston. They could bring in somebody like Jacoby Brissett, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, like you mentioned. So there's options there, but I do think they like Spencer Rattler and they want to try him out and bring in somebody that's not going to be too crazy for him to compete with. I don't know.
I will say, Justin Fields and Alvin Kamara in the backfield
be kind of sick.
Kellen
Moore would be able to do something with that.
He for sure would.
I got something else for Justin Fields, though. We'll get to that later, too. Yeah, the Saints are probably the one team on here that I'm the most uncomfortable with my decision, just because there's nothing proven. That's a bunch of young, unproven guys here, and a bust.
And then you can even go based off the coaching staff, because the whole coaching staff is new as well. So, what are they going to do? It's a tough move there, but I do think looking at the LSU quarterback is definitely a high priority, not high priority, high probability option.
That's what I kind of think is going to happen here if they go this route. I think they'll be
Mm-hmm.
pretty terrible with Rattler and even trying Trey Lance out, and Garrett Nussmeier would probably end up being a first-round pick for him the next year.
Psych, Trey Lance is going to ball his fucking ass off.
Stud.
And he's just going to throw for like 4,500 yards, like 30 touchdowns, and just be a baller.
He's going to be playing jazz music in the Super Bowl. All right. Moving to the next team, we got the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix has officially taken over there. I have him drafting Tyler Shuck, I think his name is. Whatever. I didn't know where to put him. I think he's going to get drafted somewhere. Sure, why not the Falcons? They're weird. But Kirk Cousins is still under contract on this team. He's getting paid a buttload. There's a lot of rumors about him right now. I assume he's going to get cut. It'd be kind of crazy if they kept him there as the backup, the most expensive backup in the league. So I have somebody else here. What do you think's going to go on?
Penix is going to be the starter there. I definitely think they're going to draft the quarterback. They still need a veteran presence in that room, albeit it's going to be a cheaper one than Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is going to go somewhere else. They're going to bring somebody in who's not going to be a starter, doesn't have a prospect of being a starter. So you could look at Marcus Mariota. He has familiarity with Atlanta by playing there previously. You could look at not really anyone else.
Pretty much any of the secondary options, basically.
Yeah.
Savvy vets.
Jacoby Brissett, Mac Jones,
Andy Dalton, if he
Any
was
of
still a
those
free
guys.
agent. Yeah.
any of those guys. But
Yeah.
I think Marcus Mariota makes a lot of sense for them. He knows he's a backup and fully takes on being a mentor. He's also a little bit mobile, just like Michael Penix. But I think they're probably still going to draft somebody as well, not early on, probably in that same area as Tyler from Louisville. But I think Dylan Gabriel might make sense.
Yeah, I could see that too. Another lefty, he'd be a good backup for Penix. So, yeah, I agree with you there. I made a connection with Zach Robinson, is their O coordinator in Atlanta. He was in L.A. on the Rams for a while, so I just went with the L.A. guy right now, and that is Jimmy G.
Jimmy G.
Why not? He's a backup at this point in his career. He's a vet. He could show Penix the ropes more, and
And he's so handsome.
And he's so handsome. He'll bring the ladies into the Atlanta room. Buy jerseys.
Bring in the Atlanta Housewives.
Yeah, nothing too crazy with the Falcons there. Let's move to the Vikings. This is a big one. What are the Vikings going to do? Sam Darnold is a free agent. He was killing it up until the end of the year in the playoffs for them. They have Daniel Jones on the practice squad. Will he re-sign and be their guy? They have the rookie also, J.J. McCarthy. He was a first-round pick. I'm sure they want to see if he can be their guy. So there's a lot of things going on with the Vikings, and I think we're going to hear about them pretty soon when free agency starts, maybe before. What do you think?
I think it's going to be JJ as the starter. I think they're going to bring in Daniel Jones as well, bring him back. He has relative familiarity there. He was, in my opinion, and probably a lot of other people's opinion, better than Sam Darnold before coming to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So can he be better than Sam Darnold in Minnesota? Definitely up for debate there, but JJ probably won't be ready to start right out of the gates next year, so they're going to need somebody that's a veteran presence to be quarterback and somebody that can be the backup as well and is going to throw a fit if they are not the starter. Dan Jones had that fit in New York, but going into Minnesota, he knows his role, so I think it's a little bit different. I think they'll bring it back.
I agree with your take there. I think that is that's probably the most likely route because Sam Darnold will probably sign with somebody else for a lot more money than the Vikings will be willing to give him for a possible backup role. I think they're definitely going to want J.J. McCarthy to win that starting role. But coming off that Achilles tear, he missed pretty much all of last season. I don't know how much he even got to practice before he got hurt. So, yeah, like you said, I don't think he's going to be ready at the start of the season. So they're going to want somebody that can come in and play and win them some games at least early on in the season.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is a very legit option. They brought him to the practice squad for that reason. But I just have Sam Darnold resigning. I think the reason why I went with this is because Sam Darnold looked like shit before he got to Minnesota. Does he really want to go somewhere else where he might revert back to that role? Maybe
But
he'll
he
take
wants
the
like
money.
a 3-4 year deal. I don't see Minnesota giving him that big of a deal when they have JJ McCarthy, who they took with a first round pick last year. If it's a 1 or 2 year deal, or a 1 year deal with an opt out at year 2, then sure, then you could see Sam Darnold. But I think someone's going to give him a 3 or 4 year deal.
Yeah, I think someone probably will too. I just don't know if Sam Darnold's going to take it. I think he might give Minnesota a discount to come back because he played really well. That team's set up for success with basically any quarterback from what we've seen. We talked about that before. So I think I honestly think Sam Darnold could sign like a 1 year, like $20 million contract or something to come back to Minnesota and play some more games, show some more tape of him being good rather than just a 1 year wonder, and try again next year to get that big contract with somebody else. Maybe he'll be more comfortable. I do think JJ McCarthy would be starting halfway through the season because that's their guy. But I don't know. This just made sense to me in my head. Also, the Daniel Jones route, like you were talking about, is very realistic. Probably even more realistic than this one. But this is what I went with. So, yeah. And then they got Brett Rippon there, too. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Moving to the Lions. There's a tiny little bit something here. Jared Goff is the obvious starter there. After him, they have Teddy Bridgewater. He is a free agent. And they have Hendon Hooker as the other guy there. But about them, Teddy Bridgewater already said that he wants to go back and try to win another title with his high school football team. So he's not going to be there for most of the season once again. And apparently from the tea leaves, the Lions don't really like Hendon Hooker in that backup role from what I hear.
Wow.
They are uncomfortable with him and they don't really trust him, even though they went with him last year. So I think they're going to try to bring somebody in. And I actually had somebody trade for Hendon Hooker, probably like maybe a 7th rounder or a pick swap, whatever, nothing crazy. But I had them going with Jarrett Stidham, rather, free agent from the Broncos. I have them bringing him in. Their new offensive coordinator is the Broncos' former tight end coach, so there's a bit of a connection there. And I think teams like Jarrett Stidham as a backup option, so that's what I went with. And then I also have them draft the Missouri QB, Brady Cook. Brady? Yeah, Brady Cook. I think that's his name. I don't know. Seems like a Detroit-type style guy there, so I think they're just going to try to fix their backup situation, basically, this year.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to do too much there. Like you said, it's just going to be a backup situation. Brady Cook makes sense. They're out of Missouri, but you could see Cam Miller on North Dakota State. You could see Will Howard from Ohio State. Any one of those guys would make sense as well, since they're not going to be committing too much to them. They're probably the 4th round, 5th round pick for those guys.
Yeah, for sure. Those options are true. And then Jarrett Stidham, I mean, they could look at any veteran quarterback. That's just somebody I threw in there because of a little connection.
Yeah, and obviously they'll bring in a good veteran. I mean, the presence of a good backup quarterback is known throughout the league. So if anything happened to Jared Goff, they have Super Bowl aspirations. They need somebody that can potentially step in. I could see a Carson Wentz possibility there for them as a quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. Moving from Detroit, we're going to the Packers. Nothing here. They like Malik Willis. He proved himself as a backup. And Love is obviously the starter. And they got everyone under contract. So, yeah, nothing there. The Bears, also not really much here. Caleb Williams is a starter. They like their backup. I can't even think of his name. Taylor or something. I don't know. They like him. And then they also have Austin Reed still under contract. So, again, nothing crazy here. Maybe they bring in a veteran because Caleb Williams is has his issues. Maybe they want to bring in somebody that can help him out. But
bring in like a Jacoby Brissett or someone that can give him the guidance.
Yeah, I could see that. Ben Johnson, the new coach there, maybe they want maybe they trade for Hendon Hooker, but I don't think he even likes Hendon Hooker, so I don't know.
Although I think there's something to be said about a veteran quarterback out of free agency that could push for a starting role. To kind of give pressure on Caleb Williams, I don't think they would usurp him as a starter. But just so that he's not like, I'm the shit here. I'm our starter. I'm going to be the starter without proving anything, without winning games.
Yeah.
He put up decent numbers as a rookie, but at the end of the day, it's about winning games, and that's not something that they were able to do unless they played a bad team. So having a quarterback there who's on his heels, letting him know his job's not necessarily super safe, I think is important.
I like that. Yeah, Jacoby Brissett. Maybe this is a Jameis Winston landing spot. Who knows? I do like that, though. I do like that because Caleb Williams seems like he needs somebody in his ear with what happened last year. Moving to the 49ers, again, the only thing here notable, really, Brock Purdy is going to get a new contract during the offseason, I assume. He's severely underpaid as a starting quarterback. And their backups are free agents. I expect them to bring back at least one of them. I got Josh Dobbs. I think they like him. Bring him back. And then I also have them. I just had them draft the Ohio State guy that you mentioned earlier. So,
Will Howard.
Yeah, Will Howard. Bring him in. I think he'd be a great fit in San Fran, and he could be the backup or possibly start if Purdy goes down like he did a couple of years ago. So
I could also see like a Drew Lock or Jared Stidham come in as well. I mean, Drew Lock has started games in this league. Stidham thinks he's an NFL starter and wants to prove he is. So having a backup, again, I mentioned already, having a good backup is so important, and it's hurt the 49ers before when Purdy went down in the playoffs and they had no one to turn to. So
yeah, I agree.
Address the backup role.
I will push back on Drew Lock a little bit. I don't think he really fits their mold there. They're more of a like dink and dunk, find the right target type team, and Drew Lock's more of a throw the ball as far as I can guy. so I don't know if I would go with him, but I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, moving to Seattle. This one I did think a little bit about. I think it is a little interesting. They have said that they like Geno Smith and they want to commit to him. His contract will be up after this year, and there's been slight talks, trade rumors about Geno Smith. So what do you think, basically, about this situation?
It's interesting. I like Geno Smith a lot.
Yeah, me too.
He's done well with Seattle. I think he certainly could stay with Seattle. But like you said, you never know about a trade. You can see someone that strikes out on early quarterbacks and want to still be a decent team. Try to trade for Geno Smith. I mean, you had mentioned that the Saints might try to blow everything up, but they also have pretty decent receivers when healthy. So they could maybe try to trade for Geno Smith as well. You could possibly see, I don't know, the Vegas Raiders trade for him. Who knows? I mean, Raiders want to contend. They think they can contend.
Hey, Pete Carroll
they're probably
Geno.
not going to be there. So
that's actually the Raiders are notable because Pete Carroll loved Geno Smith. He got him the starting role before he left. So. So that's one spot.
I could see the Raiders, and the Raiders are actually somebody I've traded for quarterback. So
okay, yeah. Ultimately, I just have them keeping Geno. Roll with it. I don't think they're going to re-sign him. Like I've seen some outlets say that they're thinking about re-signing him. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to want to have him once again prove that he can bring them at least into the playoffs. Maybe next year they make a change. I think they're going to stick with what they got for now. They won quite a few games last year, so.
And with their head coach coming from Baltimore and having that background with Lamar Jackson, you could see them drafting a mobile quarterback as well.
True.
Sit behind Geno, so draft like a Jalen Milroe in this case might make sense.
I could totally
extend
see
Geno
that.
for 2 years, have Jalen Milroe sit behind him and learn. Might make sense for them.
I think that's a low-key good take right there. I think that they could definitely do that. That'd be smart. That'd be a smart move, in my opinion. But they do have other holes, too, so maybe they don't want to draft a high QB. But who knows where Milroe's even going to get drafted, so. Let's move to the Rams. They were a complete question mark up until earlier yesterday. Matt Stafford will be back, so boom, Matt Stafford, he is their starter once again. After him, they have openings, though. Jimmy Garoppolo is a free agent. They have Stetson Bennett under contract, but much like Hendon Hooker, it seems like they kind of don't like Stetson Bennett in L.A. So this is a place where I think they're going to want to bring in some young guys. I mean, Stafford's older. He's been talking about retirement for a couple of years now. How many years does he have left in L.A.? He almost left this year. Up until yesterday, we weren't sure. So I think this is a place where you're probably going to see a couple new young faces that have potential. So I don't know. Do you have anybody in mind for the Rams?
I have them drafting a quarterback, so I think they're going to look heavily at some of those guys in the second and third round. So the Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers,
Yeah.
Roddy Leonard, any of those guys, I think would make sense there. I actually think Roddy Leonard makes a lot of sense for them. But I mean, who doesn't want to play with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua? So
Well, it won't be a Cooper Cup anymore, but yeah.
yeah,
He's on his way out apparently. But yeah,
he's probably gonna get traded. So
yeah, I completely agree with you there, and I do actually have the first guy. I have Jackson Dart getting drafted to him. I think second round makes sense to me. Second round pick for the Rams. Bring in Jackson Dart, have him learn for a couple years under Stafford, and then maybe see if he can be the starter. And then I also threw Zach Wilson in there. He's a free agent coming from the Broncos. He's young. He was a guy that had a lot of potential, so why not bring him in? Him and Jackson Dart can battle for the backup role there, and who knows?
he might have a rough time in LA with all the ladies out there.
Yeah, he'll have 6 kids by the end of the year.
It's funny because the left hand side of that slide looks like the kids of Matt Stafford.
That's hilarious. I mean, they basically would be his kids in LA. He'd take care of them. He'd be dad. But yeah, I don't know. This made a lot of sense to me. Maybe Trey Lance, maybe fucking Mac Jones. I think just a young guy that had potential is guy there. And I think Sean McVay also liked Zach Wilson coming out of college back during that draft. So I don't know. It made sense to me. So that's what I got for the Rams. We were in lockstep there pretty much. Moving to the Cardinals, another team where not much I don't think will happen. Kyler Murray is the guy there. There were brief talks about like a possible trade that I saw. I don't see why.
Kyler Murray?
Yeah, I saw a couple articles about it, but I think that'd be silly. He just got signed to a new contract. He's good enough to where they can win with him.
Mm-hmm.
They just got to build around him. So I don't see why they would do that. Their backup situation is the only thing where maybe something could happen. They have Clayton Tune right now as the backup. They don't seem to really be super into him, so they'll probably bring in somebody to compete with him. I just have them bringing in Tyler Huntley. You know, somebody
a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, somebody that fits the Kyler Murray mold a little more than Clayton Tune. You know.
Well, fitting the Kyler Murray mold and drafting somebody relatively later, Dylan Gabriel makes perfect sense. He's under 6 feet tall. He's very fast. He has a good arm. He's like a Kyler Murray light that they could get in the draft and kind of groom him to be the backup there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Another guy you mentioned earlier that honestly I haven't heard anything about, Riley Leonard, could be a guy. Pretty mobile guy out of Notre Dame there. So, you know, they could draft a QB for sure to compete there with Clayton Tune. It'd be cheap, so why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.